Welcome to Hot Flash Chronicles, where midlife is messy, menopause is madness, and we're sweating through it together.
We're Angie and Shelly, two caffeine-fueled, slightly inappropriate grandmas who say what everyone's thinking.
So grab a drink, crank up the AC, and let's dive in.
Boop.
What's that thing, though?
It says live stream. No, we do not want to do that.
Okay. All right, we've got our time there, 1:51. All right. Hold on, I'm going to itch. I'm going to scratch. I'm going to burp.
She's a lady.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. She's a lady. Okay. Angie.
Shelly.
I was trying to make it kind of mysterious sound.
I liked it. It was a little haunting
It
in a
was.
good way.
It was. We're getting into fall, so we might as well start. It's September 1st. It's time to start thinking about Halloween, according to all the grocery stores and
It's
stores.
not September 1st, though.
Is it September 2nd? No, it's September 1st.
Because
it
this
is. Oh,
thing later. Let's start over.
Let's start over.
I don't know how to cut that.
All right. And in 3.
This will drop at
two,
a later time.
1.
We'll just say
It's fall.
It's fall.
It's September. Okay. Angie.
Ooh, Shelly.
I know. Spooky, huh?
It's very haunting.
It's time for a podcast, but it's also almost fall.
It's almost fall. We're getting there. So close.
It's September, and it's a time, fall is one of those seasons in life where things are changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I get excited about fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I get excited about changes.
Mm.
So
what are we talking about today, Shelly? This is a deep, almost a little dark, probably a little uncomfortable and squidgy. Consider yourself warned. What are we talking about?
We're talking about the big D, which is
whoa.
Divorce,
Okay.
not that other
Hey,
thing.
Shelly, you've got to watch your
Goodness.
your little
RDIVORC.
Well, this is something that sadly Shelly and I know a lot about.
That's why we thought we'd talk about it.
We're going to keep it as lighthearted as possible, but it is something that there can be some wisdom on divorce, how to go through it. We have each been through it, not once, not twice,
not even
3 times.
3 times.
Yes,
it is 3 times the charm on the old
6 divorces between the two of us, but there's a lot of stigma with that. There's
and
a lot of
you already thought something. You already thought something.
I want you
to
sit in the reaction that you had to that news.
Yeah, just
I want
think
you
about
to sit in that for a second. Did you or huh, or good girls? Like, what did you?
Yeah. What was your?
Because there is a societal thing, and I had to go to lots of therapy after my 3rd divorce because.
And you might have even thought,
shame.
Well, what's the matter with them? What's the matter? My thing. What is wrong with them?
When I went through my 3rd divorce, and I was in my 30s, and I had been divorced already for the 3rd time, I thought either I'm not meant to be a wife, or I must be hard to love. Like I suck at being a wife, or I'm hard to love. And neither of those is true. Right. I just had the wrong partners before. Yeah. So there's I carried a ton of shame around saying I had been divorced 3 times. And one thing my therapist said is like, what you're doing is you're putting it out as a beacon, like writing it on a pad of paper and holding it on your forehead. So that was the first thing you told people because you were worried about the shame and how they would feel when it's like, it's part of you, but it can be like way over here. Like I very rarely even talk about my divorces before.
You don't have to tell anybody any of that information.
Like, I don't talk about them.
That's what I learned was just that, first of all, I'm not ashamed about it because I have the passage of time and reflection to now understand exactly why everything happened the way that it did. And when somebody tells me that they've been divorced, it's made me react differently to that now because I recognize there's probably a story. There's probably reasons. And the other thing is they don't have to share it with me. They can just say, oh, I've been divorced. And that's all I need to know. I don't need to know the story. But if you are a person who has ever gone through a divorce, or if maybe you're going to be going through one, or
you're currently going through,
or you
know someone who's going through one,
or you feel a lot of shame because you went through one, I think this is going to be a really good podcast to listen to.
Yeah, it used to I think that people have gotten a lot more accepting of it. It used to be very scandalous to be divorced, like
And
super
let's
"Oh,
think
she's a
about
divorcee."
historically why. Why was that such a big deal? Why? Well, because women in the past didn't have the same kinds of options and opportunities that they have today.
Mm.
Okay, we're talking even in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, women did not have the same opportunities as we do today. And a lot of a woman's life, a lot of her success, a lot of who she was going to be very much depended on who she partnered up with,
Well, it
who
was
she
very
was
if it
married to.
was a reality that and, like, anymore, both partners, both parents, both partners in a marriage usually have to work now. It's very
Mhm,
rare that you have a single income
mhm.
partnership, but, I mean, that's recent. That's since, like, the '80s, '90s,
That's
early
within the
2000s.
last 50 years.
Yeah.
Things have
It used
changed.
to be that the men were the breadwinners and a wife would, like, do all of the housework and, taking care of the kids and all this stuff, and she might not financially be able to make it if she went through a divorce because she didn't have the home or the income or
Yeah,
whatnot.
the way to
So
support herself. So let's
mhm.
think about that. Marriages, people will be like, well, back in the day, people stayed married
Man
forever.
married a woman. That's a
Well,
whole
nah.
'nother podcast.
Of course they did, because the women literally had no options.
Yeah.
Like they could not get out
Mhm.
and support their kids. And were all those women happily married? Hell no. There
Right.
was tons of them that weren't, and they absolutely had to stay in bad marriages where they could have been mistreated, abused, whatever, because they just didn't have other options. So if people want to glorify a time when women were literally trapped into staying in partnerships that were unhealthy and
Mhm.
unhappy, I don't think that's something to celebrate.
Right.
So we have to understand that women now have options and choices,
Mhm. More than they
and
did back in the '50s.
then they did, and they have ways to take care of themselves, and they don't have to depend on being married to necessarily have a happy or fulfilled life like
Right.
they
So
used to.
I think the stigma that what with being divorced has changed. I know that there is still like raised eyebrows. Like I told a couple of women in my networking group the other day. They were older women. We were having lunch and I said something about one of my ex-husbands and they're like, "Well, how many do you have?" And one of these ladies, she was like, "Oh, that's how many I have."
Mhm,
And I was expecting her to like be like, "Oh, you've been married
mhm,
4 times?" And it
mhm,
was like, yeah, and I mean, it took me a few tries to figure out. So here's my thing. My parents have been, they've only been married to each other. They're still married. They've been married for over 50 years. Like they're incredibly happy with each other. Of course, they've had like
things,
yeah, of
normal
course,
things that
just like
marriages go
every
through.
marriage has, like,
Mhm,
they've had little blips, but they have always been steadfast in their love for each other. They have never threatened divorce. They do not fight. They don't, they choose kindness with each other. So I was raised in a household that had a healthy marriage. And I thought that marriages were just like that. I just thought that marriage was like you get married, you treat each other with respect and kindness, and that's how it works. And then I picked 3 people in a row that were not that kind of partner.
mhm,
They were controlling or unkind, abusive,
mhm,
unfaithful, things like that. Not all 3 of them were not all of those things, but between the 3 of them, they had a mixture of
mhm.
those. So I was like, "Well, wait, where's the where's the good husband? I thought that was supposed to happen." And I learned that I had to be more discerning in the type of man that I was choosing. I was choosing fixer-uppers that
Mhm.
needed to have a lot of
Had
control.
potential, yeah.
Yeah, that
I can change them and help
the
them and
and
make them a better person.
like Sue said, you attract the partner that you think you deserve.
Mhm,
Isn't that an interesting thought?
mhm,
So at that point in my life, in each of those 3 points, I felt I deserved that person.
yeah,
So, I now know that I deserve someone who is loving and kind and supportive and all of those things, and I met Jeff, and I told him when we met I wasn't getting married again. I was like, "If you're looking for a wife, you might wanna keep scrolling
mhm,
because I'm not doing this a 4th time. That
mhm.
seems ridiculous." But, then I fell in love with him like crazy, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'll do it."
Well, I think so. I think there's a lot of assumptions, and like I said, when people hear a number, they automatically start thinking, "Oh, well, that's a serial monogamist, or that's somebody who just keeps getting married over and over just to
Or
be
you have to
married,
be in a
or they're
it's somebody who
insecure, or
can't be
they
alone.
can't be alone."
Yeah.
And so, like I said, a lot of times you have reflection. You're able to go back after the fact and go, "Oh, here's why this thing happened." And my first marriage, I was very young. I was 20 years old,
Same.
and it was impulsive. I didn't know the person very well. We'd only been together like 5 months when we got married, and a couple of my girlfriends who I was close friends with were both getting married. One of them had gotten married. One of them was engaged, and they were doing it. And it just felt like the thing to do because
Mm.
everybody else was doing it. And so it was really done uh, by an immature person. I just wasn't a fully developed adult yet, and I didn't know who I was picking. And I look back on that relationship now and I think about that person, and I wouldn't even say they're in the top five of people that I loved in my whole life. And that was my first husband.
Mm.
And he was 13 years older than me. So I thought, oh, I'm marrying somebody who's mature. He was pretty smart academically, which I like that. He liked history. I liked history. So I thought, oh, we have these things in common. Now, he was Hungarian and he was a United States citizen because he was in our military. His family had immigrated here, but there was a lot of cultural differences. And as we were married the first year, I noticed some very wide personality swings and irrational behaviors. And about, I got pregnant by the end of the first year of us being married. And we found out after my daughter was born, he was acting very erratically. And I found out he was diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. And that was just not something I saw coming. I didn't know what that even was. I realized that because he was being physically scary to me and to my daughter, that we were not in a safe place. So that marriage just felt like that's what happened, and it makes sense that that didn't work out.
Yep.
So I didn't feel a lot of guilt or weirdness or failure about that because it was something that honestly was out of both of our hands. It's not something he asked for. He wasn't doing this on purpose. It was something uncontrolled. So that one I totally felt no shame about. It's
Mhm.
like this is what happens sometimes. Now, the second time, I put a lot of years in between that and the second time I got married. There was like 8 years of difference. I was single for quite a few years. I went to college, got my degree, and then I met somebody else who was a very nice man. At that time, now I had a kid. So, who you pick when you have kids in your
Small
life,
children especially.
small children, sometimes you're picking for yourself and your child. You're not just picking for yourself, and you might not have the same field to pick from that you would have had if you didn't have kids. So there's reasons why you fall in love, there's reasons why you get married, and there are reasons why it doesn't work out, and there are reasons why you get divorced. And none of them have to be shameful.
Mhm.
They can all come from a place of evolution. They can be, when I was 30 years old and I married this person, this is who I was and this is who they were. These are the things we wanted together. And over a decade, that can change.
Oh, totally. And it's so interesting because if I think of each of my relationships, they were so wildly different. I hardly remember my second husband. Like I can picture sort of what he looks like, but I can't remember his voice. I can't because we were more like roommates.
Mhm,
Like we didn't really do a lot of stuff together. Like I was really social in my church life and um like I had friends and stuff, but he didn't. He was very he was like a hermit. He didn't leave the
mhm,
house very often and we didn't like hang out or do anything. So I hardly even remember him like
mhm,
which is and we were married for 5 years. It wasn't that long. Um and then yeah, I had years in between as well.
mhm,
And I think there's a perception of like you were saying that you're being like codependent or like, "Oh, she
mhm,
must not be okay with being single." Like
mhm,
and I definitely had some of that where I was improving. I
mhm,
was, like, trying to prove that I was worthy of love, and
mhm.
I settled because of that, so I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
But with each divorce, I learned a lot, and I was very proud of myself how I handled them. I was never unkind to any of my ex-husbands. I
Mhm,
was never vindictive or I'm gonna take you for everything you have. I was never that person. I just wanted to pick up, dust off, and move on.
mhm.
And one of my mantras that I have had through hard times is I will get through this because I always do. And I think I'm very resilient and I'm capable in picking up the pieces. Your life just looks very different when you go through something like that because I've always found it really strange that you can go from like telling someone you love them every day. Like my third husband, like I thought we were fine. I didn't know we were having any issues and he just came home. We were supposed to go out to dinner and he came home one night and he was like, "Yeah, I don't think I can do this." And I was like, "Oh, you don't wanna go out to dinner? Like, I'm happy to make something." He goes, "No, I don't think I can be married." And I was like, "What?" Like, totally blindsided. And he was somebody that we were still saying, "I love you" every day. We were
Mhm,
still hanging out, like, we were doing stuff. We were about to go out to a nice dinner,
mhm.
and he just was like, "Yeah, I don't think I wanna do this." And for me, the oddity of going from "I love you" to I'm probably not gonna see you again unless we're in court is
Yeah,
a really weird, transition to go from, like, I made you dinner yesterday, or we were cuddling on the couch watching TV, and now all of a sudden you are just completely removed from my life, and
yeah.
I struggled with um, mourning that loss because I was still happy and in love with him. And he realized he said he thought that being with somebody who was joyful
Mhm.
would make him joyful.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro,
Yeah,
I could
that's
have
not
saved
fair.
us both
Yeah, if you
10
would have told
years.
me that,
I
you
could have
would have
saved us
told me.
each a decade. I know that it's not an like proximity thing.
Yeah, you don't catch it.
Yeah, you can't
It's
just
not a
be joyful
virus.
by being around someone who's joyful.
Yeah, my second marriage was more like, we were very good friends, and there was always a friendship in in that marital relationship. We had a lot of things in common, and we did a lot of things together, and what I found was I had gotten my degree right before I got married to him, and my career started growing, and I started, like, taking off in my career, and all of a sudden I was making more money than him. I was kind of the breadwinner, but I was still kind of expected to also keep up everything I'd done at home
Mm,
and be the main housekeeper, the main cook, and take care of the kids. I had a kid with him, had my second child with him, so he was the baby daddy for my son. And I was taking on a lot of the parenting responsibilities because he kind of figured out afterwards that it's a lot of work. Like,
what?
parenting is a lot
Parenting
of
is a
work.
lot of work?
And he kind of he wasn't really as invested in it as he thought he was going to
Mm,
be. I think he thought it was a lot more of a romantic imagining of what parenting is as opposed to the reality of it. So there was a lot of responsibility. And he had kind of been an only child. He had
mm,
an older sister, but she had passed away when he was quite a bit younger, and so his parents doted on him, and it was just a different reality for him. So we kind of grew apart. Our goals in life became very much different. And when we had met, and I was 30 or 29 or 28 when we first met, and he was 32, those people weren't the same people we were 10 years later. Like,
mhm.
my goals and my ideas of what I wanted my life to be had completely changed from what they were when I was 28, but his were kind of the same.
Right. So
And
you grew and he did not, and that's
yeah,
hard to
yeah, and it's not wrong. Like, he was still happy with who he was and what his life goals were and where he was at. And I just wasn't. And we were no longer on the same path with the same goals. We had started out that way.
mm,
It's hard. It's hard to say goodbye to someone who really hasn't done anything wrong. They're
right.
just living their life, and you're now no longer in the same place. And you know that one of you is gonna hold the other one back. Uh, and I'm not saying that he was gonna hold me back. Maybe I was gonna be holding him back, or maybe I was gonna be forcing him to do something he didn't wanna do. And luckily for us, even though we got divorced, we maintained that friendship until he passed away a few years ago. We co-parented and we got along very well. We never lost the friendship.
Mhm.
And same thing with my divorces. I've never even had a proper like, the attorneys go to court and do your divorce for you thing. All mine have been do-it-yourself divorces.
Yeah,
I
my
just
last
wanted
one.
what I wanted, which is whatever I went in with. We split everything equal each time.
Yeah, my last one, we had attorneys. We had a lot of financial assets together, but he um he felt very guilty about having like upended this knowing that I was perfectly happy.
Mhm.
So he was my attorney said that she'd never seen anything like it because he kept just throwing more like he
To
was
you.
giving me more money and more investments and all this stuff. And she was like, normally I have to
Who here?
negotiate to get more. And his attorney was like, what are you doing? And he was like, well, I don't want her to not be financially secure. And like he was very kind
Yeah,
in like, how those proceeding
recognizing
went,
that
but
this
but
wasn't your
we
fault.
had to get, attorneys because we had a house together. We had assets, so,
Mhm.
we didn't have any children together, but, we had raised, our individual kids together, and
Yeah,
it was more financially tangly, but I think out of his guilt for like shell shocking me with the situation was just like, I can make more money, just give her more so that she's okay. He wanted to make
yeah,
sure I was okay. And I have very like fond feelings towards him. I'm obviously not in love with him anymore. It's been a long time, but
yeah,
it took me a lot to get over that divorce because when we split, I was still in love with him. And that was a lot for me I didn't have any control over it because he was not going to bend on the decision.
yeah,
But now I know that that was the best thing that could have happened because we were not people that would cultivate growth in each other, kind of like what you were talking about with your
right,
second husband. Like
yeah.
Mike and I
I
did not
mean,
cultivate growth.
people change,
Hmm.
and so this is the part I was gonna say about divorce. Divorce is very hard. It can be one of the most stressful, unpleasant, sad things you'll ever go through in your life. Under certain circumstances, that can be the way it is. It could be the Angie situation here where she was blindsided, she was still in love. Sometimes the other person is blindsided and they're still in love. So it can absolutely be a very emotional, traumatic event for one or both parties, for kids. It's a big deal. You're breaking up a relationship, sometimes you're breaking up a family, and how you act towards each other, how you treat each other very much is going to impact the future for if you have shared children,
Hmm.
for your friendship, for your relationship. And there's no shame in ending a relationship that no longer serves you or them or both of you.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be about shame.
It's
Sometimes,
the reason or season or lifetime,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Sometimes it was none of the people that I married did I not love at the moment I said I do. I was in
You
love with
always thought they
each.
were forever each time you
Yes,
said yes. Yeah.
absolutely. That the intention in my mind was that we would grow together, that this would be a forever thing. I don't think people get married just thinking, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just
Some
and
people
start
do.
again. Some people do. I didn't. That
Yeah.
wasn't
I
my
mean,
method. But some people do. And that's their choice, for sure. But if you're a person who had a divorce experience, or if you're going even through a relationship that's breaking up, sometimes it's not about you or something you did.
right.
Sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it literally is you grow in different directions. Not just you go in different directions, you grow in different directions. And you have to follow what's right for you. And staying in a relationship that doesn't serve you isn't going to serve the other person either. If
Right.
you're there out of obligation and you're not there because you want to be there, you're not going to participate, you're not going to contribute, you're not going to contribute in a healthy way to an ongoing relationship if you're actually sitting in resentment that you're forced to stay there. So, whether you're the woman leaving, the man leaving, the partner leaving this situation, or you're the one that suffered from, being blindsided, there is a process to why a relationship ends.
Hmm.
And there's that
You would like
realization.
I would not have rathered he stay if he didn't wanna be married to me, and I'm so grateful that we didn't stay together because, again, we didn't cultivate growth in each other.
Yeah.
Um, I am a much better person being Jeff's wife, I'm a much better wife to Jeff. I'm a much better, um, like, I feel like he really encourages me to blossom, and he never puts parameters on me. He gives me full reign to, like, I'm like a kite, like, just let her fly, and occasionally you gotta reel the string in a little bit, but
Mhm.
he knows what he signed up for. He loves all of the wackadoodle that I am. I love his calm steadiness that he has,
Yeah.
and he's so completely polar opposite different from my first 3 husbands, because they were all very strong personalities, very my house, my rules,
Mm,
very like, this is your role kind of thing.
mhm,
What I was allowed to do certain things.
mm,
Um, like I remember all 3 of my first husbands got upset with certain haircuts I got,
mhm.
and it took me, like, 7 years to stop asking Jeff, like, "Are you okay if I get a cut like this?" And he was like, "It's your hair. Like, why are you asking me permission?
Yeah,
I don't care." And when I went blue, I was like, "Ooh, okay, so." And he was like, "Yeah, if it's your hair. Why do you keep asking me if you can do something with your hair?" And I'm like, "'Cause that's just how I've been conditioned."
yeah.
So it's interesting. Jeff has completely broken the mold, and he is somebody who always comes at me with kindness and support, and even if he bitches about having to do a task, he will still do it. Like,
Well, my 3rd husband, was somebody I met at work, and, just, bottom line, in the end, he cheated on me with the next door neighbor, and,
it
uh
was such a mess.
it was such a mess,
I
and it
forgot
just made
about
it
that.
terrible because out of the billions of people on the planet, he has to have a relationship with somebody who lives, 10 feet away in the house next door. It was very,
Oh,
very,
sorry, I just remembered the whole how that all
yeah, it
yeah,
was a mess. That one was not pleasant, and the thing is, I never felt like it was my fault
right.
in the sense that and what I told him was we were having a discussion after this all this information came out, and I told him, I said, "You know what? I knew that there were problems in our marriage, and I knew that I was actually responsible for some of those problems, and I was willing to discuss those." I said, "But you just blew it all out of the water like nobody's ever going to care. Nobody's ever going to blame me or say I was the bad person. You just did something so ridiculously
Yeah, it wasn't like a
crazy."
one ti even if it was one time, it still would be
We get it ended on, well, he cheated on me with the neighbor, and that's the only story I ever have to tell about why our
that's the
marriage
narrative, like
went down the crapper. And I said, it's sad because there were things I was absolutely responsible for, and now we'll never talk about those. And I said, and I don't even feel like I have to tell you what I think I was doing wrong
yeah,
because you've just respected me on such a level that I don't owe you shit. Like I don't
yeah.
even have to take responsibility. Now I just get to walk away. So thanks for the keys to walking away without having to examine any of my own behavior. Now, I did. I went through and did examine my own behavior, and there were tons of things wrong with that relationship. And of course, it didn't just break up because he cheated with the neighbor. Why did he do that in the first place? Because there were already cracks
Right,
on
and
both
I have parts
sides.
in all 3 of my divorces as
Yeah,
well.
you
It's
have a
just
responsibility.
it really boils down to I am a free spirit. I have lots of ideas. I have ADHD. I'm a lot. I have a lot of extraneous energy and sounds, and
Yeah,
like I'm my mind is wild, and it takes a very specific type of partner to not only tolerate it but to celebrate it.
right.
And the so like me being
Mhm,
too much was too much.
right,
And in Jeff, he likes all of my too muchness.
right.
So,
Well, mine too. I always got accused of you're too strong-willed, you stand your ground, you're unmovable, like you're a force of nature. And it's like
you
I
say that
only
like it's a
see
bad thing.
yeah, I only see that as being good things. I know who I am, I know what I want. I work hard to get the things I want.
Mm.
I am a force of nature. And that's the thing is when you are those things like you can't be something you're not. I can't be
Well, I
something I'm
tried with
not.
all 3 of them. I
Right.
put a thumb on my
Yeah.
personality to try to
And that's not
dim
fair to
it.
you or
Right.
them. They're not getting the real you. You're not getting the real
Right.
you. And that was the thing about my ex-husband's is it was like, so you're trying to, you're attracted to the force of nature, yet when you're living with it, then it's too much. But you
Mm.
wanted to go into the storm. It's like there are consequences for why you become attracted to someone. And sometimes it doesn't end in marriage. Like it shouldn't be marriage. That shouldn't be the thing. Sometimes it's okay to be attracted, have the relationship, and not remarried. That's what I learned is, oh, I don't have to marry every person who asks.
Well,
I
and
don't
I
have
feel
to.
like instead of seeing it as I must be hard to love or I must not be a good wife, it's like there have been 4 men that I've had relationships with that looked at me and saw forever. And there's something good in that.
Yeah.
It means I'm actually extremely easy to love
Yeah.
to where somebody could spend a month with me and be like, oh, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So instead of feeling shame that it didn't work out, I should feel flattered that that many people looked at me and thought, wow, she is absolutely wife material.
And that's the thing is
Yeah.
why I never felt bad. I actually didn't feel bad. I didn't question who I was or what kind of person I was, what quality of person I was.
Mm,
I never thought, oh, I'm just some I can't keep a man. It's just like that never went through my mind
love that
ever.
for you.
It was it was
It
I
definitely went through
I
mine.
am being true to myself.
Hmm.
I want my own happiness and I will walk away from something that's not good for me, that's not good for the other person, that's not good for my kids. I don't give a shit what society thinks about how many times I've been married or not. It's none of their fucking business.
That's right.
So that's the thing you've got to understand is it's your business. It's the person that you're breaking up with. It's their business. That's it.
Hmm.
Can it involve your kids? Yes. And that is, of course, that's your kids' business. Can it sometimes involve your family? Yeah. And sometimes it's their business. But ultimately, in the end, it is the decision of you and that other person,
Hmm.
period. And you both know what happened. And if no one else ever understands it, they don't fucking need to.
Yep.
You need to, and they need to, and you don't need to apologize. So there's no shame or stigma in it anymore unless you let there be. And
Right.
you just wash that off.
Well,
You don't have to take it.
when my third divorce first happened, like that's all I was focused on was that I had failed
Mhm.
as a wife, that I just hadn't been a good wife. And what I would say to anybody who is going through or knows someone who's going through, is about to go through, or considering going through divorce or a major breakup is focus on what you have control over because there will be a lot of pieces that you don't. Understand that your life is going to look completely different, and staying with somebody in a bad situation is hard and leaving them is hard.
Mhm.
So you pick your hard.
Yeah, it's
You
gonna
pick
be hard
which
either
path.
way.
There is no easy path.
Mm.
Like my third divorce was as easy as they get,
Mhm.
logistically, but it was the hardest one on me emotionally
Right.
because it was easy.
Yeah,
Like, because
there's
he came at me with kindness,
yeah,
it was hard to process.
sure,
But
because you love
if
this person.
if you're going through it, then take small steps, eat the elephant one bite at a time, and instead of sitting in despair of like, I don't even know what to do on Wednesdays because that was always our day that we blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
You get to sit and decide like, well, what do I want to do with my Wednesdays?
Yeah,
Like focus on what you have control over. You can define yourself. You don't have to date. You can date. You can do whatever you want. Go be a slut. Doesn't matter. Like, no shame in however you choose to process this breakup. Like,
yep.
don't let anybody shame you about what your decisions are in that unless you're putting somebody else in harm's way.
Your life and your happiness are your
Yeah,
responsibility. And after that divorce from the last husband and the one who cheated on me, I took some time
you
because
did.
in my whole life, I had never really lived alone since I'd been 20 because even if I wasn't in a relationship or with a guy, I had kids. So I had kids. I'd never really been alone. And I needed to figure out what it was like to really be on my own, to celebrate uh, a life of being independent and the freedom that was involved in not having to consult with someone to make a financial decision or just getting to pick all the stuff I wanted to have in my house or my kitchen or the grocery shopping. There was a lot of freedom in these little things that I'd never really experienced, and that's why when I did meet my final husband,
That's what I
Phil,
say. Jeff is my final husband.
uh, he was somebody I wasn't ever planning on getting married again. I was financially independent. I had a good job. My kids were almost grown. And Ethan was like 17 or something. He was so close to graduating. And I was just like, I don't really have a need for marriage, except I met somebody who lived in England and who was from another place. And he was the person that was like Jeff in that this was somebody who understood me, who respected me, who totally could see that I was a force of nature, but also is someone who understands that when you're holding a kite string, you don't hold it too tight.
Yeah.
You keep giving it room. You keep letting
Phil
it
also
unspool.
lets you grow,
Yeah.
and he's very supportive and kind and very gentle natured as well. So I think
Yeah.
that
You
our
have
husbands are
to,
similar in a lot of ways. Like
yeah.
a lot of ways they're not, but they have those core personality traits of being kind, compassionate. Um,
And these are people
yeah,
who, like I'd say, Jeff and Phil are people who stand off to the side of the spotlight. They're right there. They're right
they're the
next to
audience
you.
cheering. They're not the ones on stage.
Yeah, and you can be standing in the spotlight, and when you're a person who is a spotlight person, which Angie is, which I am, uh, you that's the kind of support you need. You don't need someone who's standing in the middle trying to push you out of the spotlight because they want it to, uh, because that's usually doesn't go well. That relationship usually doesn't go well. So, and when you're a person who likes to be supportive and likes to stand in the audience and your worth and your value are in your own self, like I'd say Phil and Jeff are both very strong, uh, compassionate people. These are not weak
Oh,
people. It
definitely
doesn't
not
mean
weak.
not weak.
They're both very strong-willed as well, but
Strong-willed, but what their goals are and what where they exist and what their comfort zone is not in being in the spotlight. They don't like or want spotlight. That's not where they thrive. And they are very proud of and like to contribute to the success of Angie and I. And I like to we do that in kind. Like we want to be supportive and help their growth and support them, but we do it differently. Like they don't need us pushing them in the spotlight. That's not what they
right.
want.
They don't
So
thrive there.
you have to find the person you're actually compatible with who is your complement.
Mhm.
Not and usually a compliment isn't exactly the
Oh
same.
my god, I couldn't handle being with somebody like myself. I've never been with somebody like me, but oh
Yeah,
my gosh, I can't like, that would be
a lot.
we'd both be exhausted.
It would be exhausted and not very
It sounds fun for a minute, but then it would be like, "Holy
be
crap,
too
that's a lot
much.
to manage."
I like to be friends with other Leos. I would not
Mhm,
want to marry one.
mhm.
So, so having that appreciation, and the reason I was able to finally see that was because I took that time to learn about myself, to live on my own, and to figure out the things where I was the problem in past
Mm,
relationships. Like I figured that shit out when I was alone. I was like, oh, I do see that I did the thing. It's very hard to see it when you're in
right.
it. So being alone was really important. And I think that's the one thing if you're going through a divorce or just ending a relationship and going on a new path, it's having the self care and the time to do the self reflection. I think that is really key to not repeating the same mistakes, not going with toxic patterns and things, and keep getting
Recognize your part in it too.
and recognizing and taking accountability and realizing we're all imperfect, we're all going to make mistakes, and because you've been in a relationship and it hasn't worked out doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean the other person's a bad person. It's just acknowledging that things are changing and that you're different, and that's okay. And you don't have to be play the blame game. There doesn't have to be a bad guy and a good guy. It literally can just be
Yeah.
that this is the best thing for everybody. So taking the shame out of it is really this. We could talk about divorce for 7 podcasts. We could go over this, but in a nutshell, it's just about realizing you don't have to feel shame because you made a decision that was probably the best thing for you
Mm,
and another person and maybe your kids and the whole family.
yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes and say this didn't work out.
Yeah, we're human, we do make mistakes,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of, maturity in owning those, like,
Yeah.
owning your part in it and then figuring out how you wanna rebuild yourself and give yourself some grace because it's hard. It's
Mhm.
on the list of most stressful
Oh,
things,
absolutely.
so what an intense topic.
It
Like,
is.
we
It
we were a
is.
little, like, cautious, like, "Should we talk about this?" But it's
Yeah.
like, uh, yeah, I think it was a good topic. So, Shelly,
Yes.
as usual, we're gonna do the rapid fire questions. Do you wanna start this time?
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to start with the food one.
Mm.
Okay. Tonight you're going to have noodles for dinner.
Oh,
Is it going to be a pasta dish or is it going to be like an Oriental or an Asian inspired, like a Thai, like a pho, that kind of flair?
you had me at Thai. I would say, like, yeah, like pad Thai or something. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds
Like
amazing.
the
I
rice
love that
noodle with the
idea.
peanut sauce. Yes.
Shelly,
Mm-hmm.
um, would you rather have a warm chocolate chip cookie
Mm-hmm.
or a beautiful creme brulee?
You are being so mean right
I know,
now
I'm so
because those
sorry.
both have moods. Like sometimes I just really want either one of those things. But the treat for me is the creme brulee.
Yeah, that's fair.
I love the creme brulee, a little crack on the top
Mhm.
with that. Ugh, yes, for sure. Okay, Angie, what is your favorite mode of travel? Would you rather
Ooh.
do a kind of road trip where you're going to stop at all the sites and see the big ball of yarn and see the redwood forest and stop at all the fancy little greasy spoons along the way and just let the road take you where it's going to take you? Or would you rather go on a cruise ship with very designated stops and no going away from the itinerary?
Oh, they're both great. I'm gonna say the cruise, though. I do
Mhm,
love a cruise. I think because you can go to more places on a
mhm.
cruise. I haven't done a lot of road tripping.
Mm.
Maybe that's why. I haven't done, I mean, maybe like 2 in my whole life I've
Oh
done
my
a road
gosh,
trip.
maybe we need to do one.
Maybe we need to do a road trip. What do you guys think? I think we should do a road trip.
I think we should.
Okay, Shelly,
Yes.
if we were taking a road trip,
Oof.
what is your uh must see? Would you rather see the world's largest pumpkin or
Hmm. Hmm.
would you rather see uh the tallest tree?
Oh.
Super random.
I honestly, the minute you said that, the things that started popping into my mind aren't like the man-made oddities. It's not. It's the nature
Yeah.
stuff.
There's that
Stopping,
tree on the way to California that
you
you
could
can
drive
drive through.
through.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
been through that tree, and that's why I wanted to take you
Same.
to the redwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can stop off there. So
Oh, then
I
I've been
tend
to the
to,
redwoods if that's where it is.
yeah.
I need to remember where I've been.
So it's like there's probably a
My
few.
dad will tell me. Did
There's
we go to the
probably
redwoods when we drove to San Francisco, Dad? Asking.
Well, yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
the redwoods are on the way to San Francisco,
Okay.
so I'm guessing you did. But that doesn't mean you stopped in and visited the redwoods. You literally can just go through that tree. They're off on the side, but getting out into the
Mm,
forest. But seeing nature, seeing like a beautiful view from the top of a mountain,
mm.
I'm always going to go for the natural thing.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. This has been another riveting episode of
so
Hot Flash
riveting.
Chronicles.
The clavicles,
Chronicles.
the clavicles.
Hot Flash Chronicles. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see what the captions do with that. If you have a moment, if you could like, subscribe, share, comment, all of those things wherever you're
five
listening or
star reviews.
watching, we appreciate it. And 5-star
Five
review.
star
That's
review.
the bestest because it tells all of the platforms that we're amazing. So with that, we bid you adieu and we will see you next time. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
That's it for today's dose of midlife mischief on Hot Flash Chronicles. Thanks for listening and letting us overshare.
If you laughed, nodded along, or shouted same at any point, hit that subscribe button and share us with your favorite humans. And remember, we're still hot, just in flashes.